All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. 2014 Camaro Progress. You know, we got the back half section started in there. Huge shout out to Quick Performance as always. Guys, check them out if you guys need any rear ends for any like factory vehicles or aftermarket, drag racing applications, anything under the sun, off-road, they do it all. And they can get you gear sets, rear ends, brakes, any of that stuff. So check out quickperformance.com. Huge thank you to them. We're gonna have a housing here in probably 2 weeks, so that's awesome. And axles as well. Axles will probably be here before that, so. Just getting over being sick. Sorry about that. But we've got the Camaro on the hoist as usual, and I was able to get the stand out of the back. I got the rear quarter back half section kind of tacked up in there. Draining the coolant. We're going to unhook the coolant hoses. We're going to unhook the struts. All of the cradle bolts. We'll obviously do that on the ground on top of some wheel dollies or jack stands. And the only thing is this cradle actually goes up into the front end here, this little section. But fortunately for me, they never ran inner fender wells, so the bumper has a little bit of play in it. So I'm hoping we can just flex that out as we're lifting the car up. And then brake lines, a couple other miscellaneous things. I think we got to do the shifter cable. There's probably a few other things that we'll have to check over. But then wiring, we're just going to snip. And then we'll be able to lift the car right up. Leave this on jack stands, take the motor out. I don't even know if I got a cherry picker, but whatever, we'll figure it out. We got to use the forklift or whatever. Get the motor and tranny out, subframe back in, and we're ready to put an LS in this thing. I need to get headers ordered from Speed Engineering. They've got 2-inch primary headers that fit on a 5th-gen Camaro. So that'll be awesome to keep the biggest headers. That way when we motor plate this, we know with the headers, just like we did the Dodge. You know, get the headers on so we know they fit, and then we'll motor plate the motor. And then we'll just keep plugging away. Motors are up above here. We've got a few blocks up there we use for testing purposes. I need a power glide transmission to actually mock this up. But we'll worry about that later. Let's get some stuff disconnected. Let's get this lowered. Jack stands, lift it up, and let's get a motor out of this Camaro. Well, that wasn't as bad as I thought. Obviously, as you've seen there, went ahead and took the main bolts out of the frame, the subframe, I should say, and whatever wires were connected, we just cut them. So, and then took off the nuts off the strut towers, and I did hang the calipers up here in the frame, but yeah, the little poor old V6 is sitting over there. So now it's time to go ahead and let the car back down. I think we're just going to get the subframe bolted back up so it's out of the way, and we'll drop the LS in from the top. The only thing we got to hook back up is the steering and the struts, and we'll leave the brakes unhooked for now. All right, well, this is the Sunday update. As you see, cradle's all back in, steering's hooked up, which means we're good to go on the front end. I did hook the brakes back up just in case somebody was to hit the pedal, even though the brake fluid is still leaking all over the floor over here. I do have some floor dry down. But we've got some work to do up here because I want to go dry sump with this. So, you know, whether it's in this front corner over here or, I mean, I really can't get rid of this, but if we can relocate it or something, obviously ABS is going to be gone, and there's some other stuff up here that can be gotten rid of. Heater core hoses. I'm not sure if we're going to tear anything out of the dash area or not, but we'll figure out something with some of this stuff if it can be moved, or maybe we can tuck it away somewhere. But we need to get that LS in here. So some parts that did show up, I've got our front plate here, ICT billet front plate for an LS, LSX, whatever. And then I do have the mid plate here that we were going to use in burning green. It was in there. I had it marked out where the header tubes were going to be to cut that, but we ended up putting a brand new one in there. That way we could drill for all the coil packs. And then also from RJ Race Cars, or better known as Quartermax for everybody else, we've got our 4-link tubes here and neatly packaged up all of our rod ends, the nuts for those, obviously left and right hand thread. And these are the shock bolts for these billet adapters, I should say. All the rod ends, bolts, and over here, this is all material. This is some thick stuff here. So this is a piece of pipe, DOM tubing, for an anti-roll bar. So that fits nicely in there. Obviously, this needs to be measured out for the width of it. And then you got the rod ends. You got all of your brackets that get welded onto these outer bearing sections here. So you got 2 for each one of those. Tabs to go up onto a frame piece. Ears to make your little tubes. Little baby rod adapters. Some greasers for the bearings. Rod ends and all the hardware there. Snap rings and stuff. So that is all for the anti-roll bar. This is one of their, I think this is maybe not their, oh, it says heavy duty, 1.5 inch. So it's a pretty heavy kit. So, which is good because, again, if we want to drag race this thing, we want to make sure that we have, hopefully, everything we need to do it right the first time. So I have the back half section, as I mentioned earlier. It is all tacked in, ready to go. And the other good news I have is I talked with Quick Performance, and hopefully this week coming up, we're going to have a rear housing here. So I pretty much got everything else, just need to get the 4-link brackets, and then that will be good to go. And also Jason messaged me up yesterday, I think it was, and the roll cage is actually preparing for shipment. Don't know what that means because it's a drop ship order from Rhodes Race Cars, from Summit Racing, but hopefully that means that it did ship. So then we'll have our roll cage to put in here. That way, again, we can make some tubes that are going to come off the back, go through that rear deck lid, and we can get those tied into this back half section here. We want to come back as far as we can, obviously, and then we'll have to do some triangulating stuff inside of that, and then we'll have to worry about sheet metal and all this in later, which is going to be fun project. I always love sheet metal work. Not. And roll cage, I'm really hoping that you can leave the dash in here. That was kind of one of my main objectives, was not having to tear all that crap out of there. But if we have to, we have to. So we can keep plugging away, cleaning up stuff up here. Again, we got motor mount for that. I need to find a Power Glide transmission. So if anybody, knows of one local to me, that would be great. I mean, I'm just looking for like a shell. If somebody has just a shell for a Power Glide, because obviously one of the other burnout trucks is going to be dedicated, or donated, I should say, to this. And unfortunately, it's going to be a lot of work, but Death Trap, sitting over there, has a BTE Pro Sportsman Power Glide in it. So there's a very good transmission inside of that truck for just doing burnouts, and it's not drag racing. So unfortunately, at some point, that transmission is going to have to be pulled out, and the transmission that's in burning green, which, the motor's coming to the Camaro, that transmission will have to go into Death Trap. A lot of work. Also, one last thing, Jason did add on the funny car, whatever you want to say, hoop section for the driver. I don't know, we think we're missing a piece, but, they've got these all shrunk wrapped together in sections, but none of it's coped or anything like that, so I think you just have to use sections of this. So when you're looking in their picture of all the little pieces, I think they're just cutting it all out of this straight section. Unfortunately, a lot more coping, but we've got the coping tool here, so not a big deal. But I think that's going to do it for this one, guys. I know there's not a lot of action just pulling a V6 out of a Camaro, but I wanted to give you some updates on that and where we stand. So I always try and update you on Sundays. Hopefully everybody's enjoying the football game. I know the wife's wanting to see Taylor Swift, of course, so, yeah, I really don't. I'm not a big football guy, so, big football person, guys, so, unfortunately, I'm just in the house for the snacks. Yeah, all right, well, I'm going to wrap this one there. Enough rambling on. So, next episode, I'm hoping roll cage will be here for sure, and hopefully a rear end housing, so we can get some axles in this thing and get this thing back on the ground and make it roller again, and start putting a motor in here. April 5th and 6th is going to be here long before I know it, and I'd like to kind of keep this thing moving along. If we can get it done, great. If not, obviously, you heard all 3 of them run. We got some work to do, but they run. So we'll keep it there. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks again.